Welcome to Calm Mind English. Some mornings feel heavy before your feet even touch the floor. The alarm rings, the room is quiet, and nothing has gone wrong yet. But something inside you already feels behind. You may have slept for enough hours. You may not have a clear reason to feel tired. Still, the day appears in your mind like a long hallway. And before you take one step, you already want to sit down. This kind of tiredness can feel confusing. You look at the clock and think, I just woke up. So why do I feel like I have already lived through the day? It is not always laziness. It is not always poor sleep. Sometimes the mind wakes up carrying pressure before the body has even had time to arrive in the morning. There is a specific feeling that comes with this. You open your eyes, but your thoughts are already moving faster than you are. The room is still, yet your mind is checking the day ahead. There may be work waiting. There may be messages to answer. There may be people depending on you, bills to think about, chores that were left unfinished, or a quiet sense that you are already not doing enough. The body is lying in bed, but the mind has already walked into the kitchen, opened the laptop, checked the calendar, remembered yesterday, and imagined everything that could go wrong. So the first moment of the morning is not really a beginning. It feels like a continuation. A person can wake up and feel tired because the day feels too full before it has even started. The tiredness does not come from one task. It comes from the whole shape of the day pressing on the mind at once. Think of someone named Daniel. His alarm goes off at 6:30. He reaches for his phone, turns it off, and stays still for a few seconds. The room is not loud. There is no emergency. But almost immediately, his mind begins to list things. He remembers a work message he did not answer last night. He remembers that the car needs gas. He remembers that he promised himself he would exercise. But now even getting dressed feels like a lot. He is not choosing these thoughts carefully. They simply appear. One thought connects to another, and soon the morning is no longer just morning. It becomes a meeting, a commute, a difficult conversation, a messy desk, an unpaid bill, a task he delayed, and the quiet fear that he will end the day disappointed in himself again. From the outside, Daniel looks like someone who is just slow to get up, but inside, he is already spending energy. This is one reason morning fatigue can feel unfair. Nobody sees the work your mind is doing before the day begins. People may see you sitting on the edge of the bed. They may see you staring at the wall, checking your phone, moving slowly, or taking too long to start. But they do not see the invisible loading screen inside you. They do not see how many pieces of life your mind is trying to hold before breakfast. When the day begins this way, even simple actions can feel strangely large. Brushing your teeth is not just brushing your teeth. It becomes the first step into a day you do not feel ready for. Making coffee is not just making coffee. It becomes proof that the day has officially started, and once it starts, you feel like you must keep going. Opening a message is not just opening a message. It can feel like opening a door to more demands. This is why some people delay the first small action. They stay in bed a little longer. They scroll on their phone. They walk slowly around the room without really doing anything. They are not always trying to waste time. Often, they are trying to postpone the moment when the day becomes real. There is a quiet resistance in the morning when the mind feels unready. You know what needs to happen. You know the normal routine. But something inside you does not want to cross the line from resting to functioning. This line can feel heavier when life has been demanding for a long time. If every day has required you to be responsible, alert, helpful, productive, patient, and emotionally controlled, then the morning can start to feel less like a fresh chance and more like another shift. The body wakes up, but the heart says, again? That one quiet word can carry a lot. Again, I have to handle this. Again, I have to be calm. Again, I have to try. Again, I have to be the person who keeps things moving. When tiredness appears before the day starts, it is often connected to repetition. Not just physical repetition, but emotional repetition. The same concerns, the same pressure, the same effort to stay steady, the same small disappointments that never fully leave. A heavy morning can be the mind's way of saying, I know this pattern, and I am already tired of entering it. This does not mean your life is wrong. It does not mean you are weak. It means your mind has started connecting morning with demand before it. Connects morning with life. For some people, the first thought of the day is not, I am awake. It is, what do I have to deal with? That difference matters. When morning becomes a place where the mind immediately searches for problems, the nervous system can become tense before anything happens. Your shoulders may feel tight. Your face may feel heavy. Your breathing may feel shallow without you noticing. The body prepares for the day as if the day is a threat. Not a dramatic threat, but a quiet one. The threat of being late. The threat of failing. The threat of disappointing someone. The threat of not having enough energy. The threat of facing the same difficult emotion again. This is why telling yourself to simply be positive does not always work. The tiredness is not just a thought you can erase with a better sentence. It is a whole morning pattern. It has a feeling, a rhythm, a body reaction, and a memory. Maybe you know this feeling. You wake up and look at the ceiling. Before you even move, you feel the day waiting for you. There is a small sadness in that moment. Not a dramatic sadness, but a dull one. A sense that life is asking for more energy than you have available. And because nothing has happened yet, you may judge yourself for feeling this way. You may think, I should not be tired already. I should be stronger. I should get up faster. But judging the tiredness usually makes the morning heavier. Now you are not only tired. You are tired and disappointed in yourself for being tired. That second layer is often what makes the first hour of the day feel so difficult. Imagine carrying a backpack. Inside it are normal responsibilities, work, family, money, health, messages, errands, plans, promises, and personal goals. At night, you may set the backpack down beside the bed. But if your mind never really unpacks it, then in the morning you do not wake up empty-handed. You wake up and immediately reach for the same weight. Sometimes the weight is not even about today. It may be yesterday's unfinished feeling, a conversation that did not go well, a task you avoided, a worry that followed you into sleep. Morning has a way of revealing what the mind did not fully process the day before. This is why the first tired feeling can arrive before any real action. Your mind is not responding to the present moment only. It is responding to accumulated pressure. Accumulated pressure is quiet. It does not always announce itself. It does not always look like a crisis. It can look like a person lying still for 5 more minutes. It can look like opening the phone with no purpose. It can look like standing in the kitchen, unable to decide what to do first. The tiredness before starting is often a signal that your mind is meeting the whole day at once instead of meeting the first small moment. A whole day is too much to carry in the first minute after waking. No one is built to emotionally live through the entire day before breakfast. But many people do this without knowing it. They wake up and mentally enter every room of the day. They think about the morning, afternoon, evening, and tomorrow. They remember what went wrong before. They imagine what might go wrong later. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted before they begin. The answer may be simple, even if the feeling is not. You are not only waking up. You are mentally starting too many things at the same time. The mind tries to protect you by preparing. It scans ahead because it wants to prevent pain, mistakes, conflict, and stress. But when preparation becomes too wide, it turns into pressure. The mind thinks it is helping, but it begins the day by placing everything on the table at once. This is why mornings can feel better when they become narrower. Not perfect, not deeply inspired, just narrower. Before you ask yourself how you will handle the whole day, you can notice the room. Before you solve the work problem, you can sit up. Before you measure your life, you can place your feet on the floor. These small details may sound too simple, but they matter because morning tiredness often grows from mental size. The day feels too large, so the body hesitates. When the first step becomes smaller, the nervous system receives a different message. It does not have to enter the whole day at once. It only has to enter this 1 minute. Still, before changing anything, it helps to understand the feeling with kindness. If you wake up tired before the day starts, you are not broken. You may be carrying too much too early. You may be waking into pressure instead of waking into presence. There is a difference between needing more sleep and needing a softer entrance into the day. Sleep restores the body, but the way you meet the morning shapes how quickly that restored energy gets spent. If your first contact with the day is worry, comparison, urgency, or self-criticism, then energy leaks out before you even stand up. So the question is not only, did I sleep enough? The question is also, what does my mind touch first when I wake up? Does it touch the phone, the calendar, yesterday's mistake, a list of everything unfinished, the fear that you are behind? Or does it touch something real and small, like light through the window, the blanket around your body, the floor under your feet, the fact that this day has not fully happened yet? A tired morning does not need to become a failed day. The first feeling is not the final result. The heaviness at 6:30 does not know what 10 o'clock will feel like. The slow beginning does not decide the whole story. There are mornings when you do not rise with motivation. You rise with honesty. You admit that the day feels heavy, and then you begin with something smaller than the heaviness. That is still a beginning. Sometimes the mind needs to learn that morning is not the enemy. It is not a test you have to pass immediately. It is a doorway, and you are allowed to walk through it slowly. You do not have to feel ready before you start the first small movement. Readiness often comes later, after the body has begun to move, and the mind realizes the whole day is not happening all at once. For now, simply notice the pattern. Notice the moment your mind tries to pull the entire day into. The first few seconds. Notice how quickly responsibility appears. Notice how often you judge your tiredness before you understand it. This awareness alone can create a little space. And in that space, the morning becomes less like a wall and more like a quiet room you can enter one step at a time. The strange thing about morning tiredness is that it often arrives before the day has asked anything from you. Nothing has gone wrong yet. No one has said anything difficult. The room is still quiet, the light is soft, and the world has not fully opened its noise. But inside your mind, the day has already begun. Before your feet touch the floor, your thoughts may already be moving through the list. There is the message you did not answer, the work that is waiting, the small problem you hoped would somehow disappear overnight, the decision you have been delaying, the conversation you need to have, the money you need to think about, the thing you promised yourself you would finally handle today. To someone else, it may look like you are just lying in bed for a few extra minutes. But inside, your mind is already carrying a full bag. This is one reason a person can wake up tired even after sleeping. Sleep may rest the body, but it does not always erase the emotional files the mind kept open. When you wake up, the brain can return to the same unfinished places very quickly. It is like opening a laptop that was never fully shut down. The screen lights up, and all the windows are still there. The document is still open. The browser tabs are still waiting. The warning message is still on the screen. Your mind can work in a similar way. Yesterday may be over on the calendar, but it may not feel finished inside your nervous system. The task was not completed. The worry was not resolved. The pressure was not expressed. So when morning comes, your mind does not feel like it is starting a new day. It feels like it is continuing an old one. This can create a heavy feeling that is hard to explain. You may tell yourself, I just woke up. Why am I already tired? You may judge yourself for not feeling fresh. You may think something is wrong with your discipline, your energy, or your attitude. But often, the issue is not that you are weak in the morning. The issue is that your mind begins the day by reopening many unfinished loops at once. An unfinished loop is anything your mind still feels responsible for. It can be a big problem, like a work deadline, a family conflict, or a financial concern. But it can also be small. Laundry sitting in the corner, an email with no reply, a form you need to submit, a call you need to make, a room that keeps getting messy, a plan you keep changing. Small things can feel light when there are only one or two of them. But when many small things stay unfinished for too long, they begin to gather weight. Morning makes this weight more noticeable because there is less distraction. At night, you may be too tired to think clearly. During the day, you may be busy enough to keep moving. But in the first moments after waking, the mind is quiet enough for the pressure to rise to the surface. That is why the morning can feel honest in an uncomfortable way. You are not yet protected by emotion. You are not yet absorbed in tasks. You are just awake, and the mind starts showing you what it has been holding. This is not always a bad thing. It is information. The tiredness may be saying that your mind has not had enough space to close what it keeps carrying. Imagine someone who wakes up at 6:30. The alarm rings, and they do not get up right away. They reach for the phone because it feels easier than facing the day directly. The phone gives them noise, but not relief. A few messages appear. A bill reminder, a news headline, a work notification, a photo from someone who seems to be doing better. In less than 5 minutes, their mind has moved from bed into comparison, responsibility, urgency, and quiet guilt. Now the day feels even heavier. The person may think, I have no energy. But part of the energy has already been spent, not through action, but through mental switching. The mind went from sleep to work, from work to money, from money to comparison, from comparison to self-judgment, and from self-judgment to avoidance. That is a lot to carry before even standing up. This kind of tiredness does not always come from doing too much with your body. Sometimes it comes from loading too much into awareness too soon. The first minutes of the day matter, because they teach the mind what kind of day it is entering. If the first contact with morning is pressure, the mind starts preparing for defense. If the first contact is comparison, the mind starts measuring. If the first contact is unfinished work, the mind starts tightening before the body has warmed up. This does not mean you must create a perfect morning routine. Many people feel worse when they hear that. They already feel tired, and now they feel they are failing at mornings too. The point is not to make the morning impressive. The point is to stop the mind from reopening the entire day in one moment. Sometimes the most helpful change is very plain. Before you check the phone, sit up. Before you think about the whole day, place your feet on the floor. Before you solve anything, let the body arrive in the room. This sounds small, but it changes the order. When the mind is overloaded, order matters. If thought comes first, it may bring every problem with it. If the body comes first, the day begins with something concrete. The floor under your feet, the light in the room, the sound of water, the simple act of standing. These things do not solve your life, but they remind your nervous system that you are here in one moment, not inside the whole future. A tired morning often becomes heavier when the mind treats the day like one giant object. It does not see breakfast, then getting ready, then leaving, then one task, then another. It sees the whole day as one large wall. Work, people, decisions, messages, chores, family, bills, expectations, and self-pressure all become one shape. No wonder you feel tired before starting. Your mind is not reacting to one step. It is reacting to the imagined weight of everything. This is why telling yourself to just be positive may not help. The mind does not need a slogan. It needs a smaller frame. Instead of asking, "How will I handle this whole day?" ask, "What is the next real movement?" Not the next perfect decision. Not the next life-changing action. Just the next real movement. Sitting up, washing your face, opening the curtain, drinking water, putting one thing in its place, preparing what you need for the next hour. These actions are not exciting, but they are stable. They bring the mind out of the fog of the whole day and back into the size of the present moment. There is another hidden reason morning can feel heavy. Sometimes you wake up already tired because you are not only facing tasks. You are facing the version of yourself you think you have to become immediately. You believe that as soon as the day starts, you must be organized, patient, focused, kind, productive, calm, and strong. You must answer well, work well, think well, parent well, speak well, and keep everything under control. That is too much identity to wear at once. A person can feel exhausted not because the day is impossible, but because they believe they must enter it as a perfect version of themselves. Morning becomes a stage. The alarm becomes a signal that performance is beginning. But a human being does not wake up as a finished performance. A human being wakes up slowly. The mind clears slowly. The body warms slowly. Emotion settles slowly. You are allowed to enter the day as a person who is still becoming awake. You do not need to become your strongest self in the first 10 minutes. You do not need to solve your whole life before breakfast. You do not need to prove that you are capable before the day has even opened. The mind becomes lighter when it is not forced to carry the whole identity at once. Today can begin with a smaller role. For the first few minutes, your role is not to be perfect. It is to arrive, to return to the body, to meet the morning without adding extra judgment to the tiredness. Then, little by little, the day becomes more specific. Not life, just this morning. Not everything, just the first task. Not a complete transformation, just one honest beginning. When you understand this, morning tiredness becomes less mysterious. It is not always a sign that the day will be bad. It may be a sign that your mind is opening too many doors too quickly. So the practice is not to force energy. The practice is to close some doors for a moment. You do not need to think about the entire week while brushing your teeth. You do not need to answer every worry while making coffee. You do not need to measure your whole future while putting on your shoes. Let each small action stay small. When you wash your face, just wash your face. When you drink water, just drink water. When you put on your clothes, just prepare your body for the next part of the morning. This may sound ordinary, but ordinary actions can protect the mind from early overload. A heavy morning becomes more manageable when you stop treating it as proof of who you are. It is just a state. It is a signal. It is a moment where the mind has resumed pressure before the body has fully arrived. And once you see that pattern, you can respond with less fear. You can say, "My mind is trying to carry the whole day again." Then you can bring it back to one smaller place. The room, the floor, the next movement. This is how the day begins to shrink back to its real size. There is a gentle way to begin a day that already feels heavy. It does not start with a strong promise. It does not start with a perfect routine. It starts with making the first part of the morning smaller than the fear around it. When you wake up tired before the day even starts, your mind often wants a full answer right away. It wants to know how you will handle work, family, money, messages, health, plans, and all the small problems waiting in the background. But the body does not move well under a whole life at once. A person can lie in bed for 20 minutes, not because they are lazy, but because their first thought is too large. The mind says, "I have so much to do today." Then the body hears that as danger. It does not hear one morning. It hears a mountain. So the first shift is simple. Do not ask yourself to begin the whole day. Ask yourself to touch one small piece of it. Sit up before you solve anything. Put your feet on the floor before you judge your energy. Drink water before you check your mood like a report card. These are not magic actions. They are small signals. They tell your nervous system that the day is not attacking you all at once. It is only arriving one moment at a time. Many people make the morning harder by turning it into a test of motivation. They open their eyes and immediately ask, "Do I feel ready? Do I feel strong? Do I feel clear?" And when the answer is no, they feel defeated before they even stand up. But readiness is not always a feeling that appears first. Sometimes readiness is created slowly through contact. You touch the floor. You wash your face. You prepare one thing. You move through the first 5 minutes without demanding a full emotional change. This is important because a tired mind often waits for the right feeling before moving. It waits to feel inspired, organized, confident, or peaceful. But some mornings do not give you that feeling at the beginning. On those mornings, movement has to be smaller than emotion. Think of someone named Daniel. Daniel wakes up at 6:30. His alarm rings, and the room is still dim. He slept enough hours, but his chest feels tight, as if the day entered the room before he did. He reaches for his phone and sees messages, reminders, and news. In less than 1 minute, his mind is already far away from the bed. It is at work. It is in next week. It is in an argument that has not happened. It is in the list of things he has not finished. Before his feet touch the floor, the day feels too big. On a different morning, Daniel tries something smaller. He does not check his phone first. He does not force himself to feel positive. He simply sits up and puts both feet on the floor. For a few seconds, that is the whole task. Then he drinks water. Not because water will fix his life, but because his body needs a simple beginning. Then he opens the curtain. The room changes a little. Light comes in, not dramatically, just enough to remind his brain that morning is here. He still feels tired, but the tiredness is no longer the only thing happening. There is also movement. There is also light. There is also one small decision that did not require a long conversation with himself. This is how a heavy morning can become less powerful. Not by fighting it with pressure, but by giving the body a few quiet signals of direction. The first 10 minutes of the day matter, because they teach your mind what kind of day this might be. If the first 10 minutes are filled with phone scrolling, unfinished worries, and fast comparison, the mind can feel crowded before breakfast. You may begin the day already reacting, already behind, already pulled into other people's noise. But if the first 10 minutes are simple, the day has a softer entrance. This does not mean you need a complicated routine. A complicated routine can become another burden. Some people design a perfect morning plan, then feel worse when they cannot follow it. A gentle morning should be easy to return to. One glass of water, one open window or curtain, one clean surface, one small movement of the body, one sentence written down about what actually matters today. That is enough to begin. The goal is not to become a new person by 7 a.m. The goal is to stop letting the first feeling of the day decide the whole story. A heavy morning says, "Today will be hard." A calmer response says, "Maybe, but I only need to enter it one step at a time." This is where many people find relief. They stop trying to feel better before they begin, and they begin in a way that does not make them feel worse. If your mind feels heavy in the morning, protect it from too much input too soon. Your phone can wait a few minutes. The news can wait. Other people's opinions can wait. Even your long list can wait until your body has fully joined the day. There is a difference between being responsible and being mentally rushed from the moment you wake up. Responsibility can be steady. Mental rushing feels like you are already late for a life you have not even stepped into yet. So give yourself a slower doorway. A doorway is not the whole house. It is only the place where you enter. Morning can be that doorway. You do not need to make the whole day peaceful. You only need to make the entrance less violent to your mind. Before checking everything, check the room you are in. Before solving everything, let your body arrive. Before judging yourself, complete one small action that asks very little from you. This may be putting your blanket back in place. It may be rinsing a cup. It may be standing near the window for a few seconds. It may be writing only 3 words. Today, start small. Small actions work because they lower the emotional cost of beginning. When the mind feels tired, it often turns every task into a heavy decision. Should I start now? Should I do this first? What if I fail again? What if I cannot keep up? A small action avoids that entire debate. You do not negotiate with yourself about changing your whole life. You just put the cup in the sink. You just start the kettle. You just put on your socks. You just open the document. You just step outside for 1 minute. The body learns through proof, not pressure. After one small movement, the next movement becomes easier to see. It may not become easy, but it becomes visible, and visibility matters. A tired mind loses sight of the next step because it is staring at the whole road. A small action brings the road back, close enough to touch. There will still be mornings when you wake up heavy. There will still be days when your first thought is not hopeful. There will still be seasons when rest does not immediately turn into energy. But you can learn to meet those mornings differently. You can stop treating the heaviness as a command. It is information. It tells you that your mind needs a smaller entrance, less noise, and a softer first step. So tomorrow morning, before the day becomes a story, give yourself one quiet beginning. Feet on the floor, water in the glass, light in the room, one small task in front of you. That is enough for the first moment. A day does not need to be carried all at once. It can be entered gently, one ordinary movement at a time.